Earth provides a beautiful habitat for humanity. There are majestic soaring mountains, there are vast plains covered with grasses, there's enormous oceans that cover the bulk of Earth's surfaces, there's clouds in the sky, and we orbit around this nice yellow sun that provides all the heat that we need. But yet as we get in and explore the details of what does it take to provide this sort of habitat, particularly what does it take to make an Earth that has all of these abundant features, a vast amount of water and a large amount of land, we find that the requirements on the sun are actually pretty stringent. We don't expect to find a sun that looks or provides all the requirements that a planet like Earth needs in order to support life. Now, when you go out and you typically talk about things that are critical to life, one of those is liquid water. As we go out and look in the cosmos trying to find other planets, one of the things, or the first thing we're looking for is, does the planet have the capacity to have liquid water? Well, it turns out that without plate tectonics here on Earth, Earth would also not have an abundance of liquid water, or the abundance that we see. And what is it that drives the plate tectonics? It's none other than having this heat deep inside Earth that allows as this heat rises and convects up to the surface of the Earth, it allows this movement of plates on the surface that basically serves as a thermostat or temperature regulator for the surface of the Earth so that the liquid water can remain billions of years after the Earth was formed. Well, as scientists have started to understand what does it take for Earth to have the necessary amounts of uranium and thorium, they find that the sun, which is the kind of what determines the composition the Earth has a number of special characteristics. First, as we look at where all the uranium and thorium came from in the universe, we find that it's all born in the heart of stars. As you've got massive stars that burn through all their hydrogen and helium and heavier elements, they eventually get large. They burn a whole bunch of stuff, they explode in a supernova, and in this supernova process, all of the uranium, thorium, all of these heavy radioactive elements are made and then dispersed out into space so that they can be incorporated by the next generation of stars. Well, as we look at our sun, one of the things that we find is that it formed in the universe when there was a maximum amount of uranium and thorium. And so you've got these stars that are producing uranium and thorium, but we also know that uranium and thorium both decay, so over time they're also going to begin to decay away. And at some point in time, the amount at which stars are producing the uranium and thorium is going to be counteracted by the rate at which the uranium and thorium are decaying, and there's going to be a time in the universe where there's a maximum amount of uranium and thorium. It turns out that the solar system and the star formed at exactly that time. And so the timing of an Earth-like planet matched what needed the precise time where there was a maximum amount of uranium and thorium in the universe. So that enriched our solar system with the uranium and thorium needed for Earth to drive plate tectonics. But we find even more, that not only was the sun born at a time where there was a maximum amount of uranium and thorium, but also there was another event that further enriched the sun with uranium and thorium, and that being that there was at least one, if not two, different supernova events that occurred nearby where the sun was forming, so that and as these supernovae occurred, they further enriched the area where the sun was forming so that there was even more uranium and thorium. Now we ask, what does it take for to have numerous supernovae occur before another star forms? Well, that forms in large star clusters. In fact, scientists have calculated that the sun likely formed in a star cluster that had thousands, if not tens to 20,000 stars in it. Now think what that would do if our star still resided in a star cluster in that fashion. There's going to be lots of other stars around. The gravitational tugs on all those other stars are going to be in operation in our solar system, and that's going to disrupt the planetary orbits. So somehow our star was formed in a large star cluster, but before any of these detrimental gravitational effects could have disrupted the planetary orbits, the sun was ejected from this star cluster. And so we see that the sun was born in a unique environment and then kicked out before any damaging effects could have occurred. We find that the sun was born at precisely the time where there was the maximum amount of uranium and thorium. And so what we see is that we investigate deeper and deeper and deeper that our sun looks very finely designed or highly fine-tuned, specifically so that Earth can, or that there is an abundance of liquid water which provides the medium on which the biochemistry that life requires happens. And so we find this fine-tuning and design that the sun that we orbit is not just any ordinary sun. It's a unique sun. It's a rare sun, if you will. There are suns that are maybe the same size or the same age or the same distance from the center of the galaxy, but this sun is the only one that has all of the characteristics that enable life to thrive here on planet Earth.